Hi again. So, Sebben Crudele is a song that is sort of about being in the friend zone. The speaker of this song is in love with somebody. The speaker is not having his or her feelings returned, and the solution that the speaker offers to that is to basically wear the person that they love down with the length of their servitude. Probably not something you should try in real life. But just to get started, I'm going to speak the text and give you a line by line translation. So, Sebben crudele mi fai languir. It's basically just even though Sebben crudele, cruel one, mi fai languir, you make me languish or you make me pine or yearn for you. Sempre fedele, ti voglio amar. Sempre fedele, always faithful. Ti voglio amar, I want to love you. So that whole thing, even though cruel one, you make me languish, always faithfully do I want to love you. Something along those lines. You do repeat that text for quite some time in this, so you have to think about how you can make it interesting while you do those repetitions. Later on in the song, when you get to the B section, the text is con la lunghezza del mio servir, con la lunghezza, with the length, del mio servir, of my servitude, la tua fierezza saprò stancar, la tua fierezza, your pride, saprò stancar, I will know how to tire. So the overall sense of it is something along the lines of, with how long I will be your faithful servant, I will tire out your pride. So something along the lines of like, I will wear down your inability to love me by how long and how faithfully I will love you. Again, this is why I'm saying probably not the best idea to try out in real life, but when you're talking about opera, everything's a little dramatic. After that, you go back and perform the A section one more time. In certain situations, it might be okay to ornament. For those of you who are watching this video who might be auditioning for a district chorus or something similar with this song, you might want to not ornament. You might throw your judge off. I think just a couple language points that I would say about this song. Language-wise, this one is pretty easy just because there's not a lot of text. But some things that you'll want to remember, the very first word of the whole song, Sebben, is not Sebben, it's Sebben. Okay, so you need to remember your double consonants, and right away you've got that double B, right? And of course, the second word of the song, you don't want to say crudele or something like that. You want to make sure that you're not doing a diphthong, so you would say crudele instead of crudele. You don't want to put that second vowel in on the end there. At the end of the word languir, you want to make sure that you're flipping that R. You probably don't want to roll it. That's a little too much work, I think, right there. Languir just sounds a little funny. So languir, just one flip on the alveolar ridge right behind your teeth. Then later on, you have another word that rhymes with crudele, fedele, right? So make sure no diphthongs, very pure e vowels. And then that word voglio, voglio, you do not say the G. Whenever there's a GL in Italian, you're not going to pronounce the G. Voglio amar. Oh, and if you're ever doing a translation of this yourself, like if you're ever going on Google Translate, if a word ends in an R and you don't get a translation for it, you might want to try adding an E to the word, because certain verbs in Italian, there's a common practice where when you sing them, you don't always actually set the final E in a verb. For example, this song says, Sempre fedele, ti voglio amar. The verb is really amare, like to love, but they don't really set that final that letter E. They don't leave it in there. They just take it out. So then in the B section, just a couple things about that text. Con la lunghezza. So you want to make sure that that's a double Z, of course. And remember, it's not lunghezza, it's lunghezza. It's like a TS if you're thinking from an English point of view. Lunghezza, a very long T too. Um, you also want to, the word mio that comes right after lunghezza, con la lunghezza del mio servir, you don't want to sing con la lunghezza del mio servir. Since it has two notes, you actually want to take the two syllables of mio and give one of those eighth notes to each of them. So you'll sing con la lunghezza del mio servir. There is a slur between the notes, so it kind of makes it seem like you should only be singing one syllable on those, but it's common practice to split the E and the O between the two notes. You definitely want to give the E vowel precedence because that is the stressed part of the word. It isn't mio, it's mio. Okay? And then la tua fierezza saprò stancar. Most of that is pretty easy. I would just say the one thing that you should watch out for is another word like mio, which is tua. So mio, my, and tua, yours. Excuse me, not yours. They're both words that are often set on one note, or they seem to be one syllable. So you have to just remember you want to stress the right syllable, which means in this case you want to lengthen it. So you have three-quarter notes la, tua, fie, and you want to really do la, tua, fie. So give again an eighth note to the tu and the a, tua, fie, like that. Make sure there's a double D in fierezza, and other than that, I think you should just be just fine for the rest of the song. Just remember, this song has very little text, so it has a very obvious affect, and that affect is unrequited love, and almost like a determination to make that love requited, however futile such determination may be. So you really, really need to think about that. Of course, if you are doing this from the G. Schirmer Yellow Book, you have to remember that this is not the way the song would normally be done. There wouldn't be a whole bunch of dynamics written into music in the early 18th century. There wouldn't be a whole lot of retardandos here and there. But depending on your situation, I know in my personal district, you're going to probably want to follow what's there unless you're doing this in a recital situation just with a voice teacher who is more knowledgeable about Baroque performance practice, who can teach you things about like how to ornament it, how to make it interesting without adding all of those extra dynamics. Some people don't know that these books, these G. Schirmer 24 Italian art songs and arias books, they were really put together kind of, if you look at the bottom of the pages, you can see copyright 1894. A lot of the editions are sort of like Victorian English editions, and in reality, you do want to avoid doing a lot of that stuff, but that would only be in a situation where you're not being judged on following the music exactly. And in many situations, especially if you're a student in high school or something like that, you're probably going to be dealing with a judge or people listening to you who are expecting you to do all of those dynamics, because doing those dynamics shows that you are being sensitive to what's on the page. But just so you know, actually, this music has a lot less on it in real life. This book isn't exactly real life, but it is sort of like a very specific image of what this song might have sounded like when somebody tried to sing it in the late 19th century. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents about Sebben crudele. I hope this video was helpful, and if you liked this, I do have some other videos about some of the other songs in the 24 Italian Art Songs and Arias book. Give them a look, and you're welcome to comment. I'll try to remember to check this channel and answer any questions that you might have. Thanks.